Greetings, world. Welcome to another MEN-talRollaDeK Live. Today's topic, title, name, same difference, is self esteem.
Self-esteem.
We have famous Baba with us. You have seen him in a few lectures and a few conversations and so on and so forth. But today, Baba, I want to talk about self esteem
Okay.
um, because most people are unaware of what self esteem is.
Well, once you give them a definition, give them a literary definition, and then we carry it to another level. Because
So,
you, yeah, give
go
us
ahead.
a literary definition when you talk about compound word self-esteem.
So, so self esteem, right, is confidence in one's own worth or ability of self respect, right?
Okay.
That's their terminology.
One's own what?
Worth,
Worth.
right?
Okay.
One's own worth.
On what? And that's one of our biggest problems right there. We don't know what our worth is. How do we equate our worth? What plumb line do we use to measure our worth or our value?
But that's the word I want to stick with instead of using worth. I would say value,
Value.
and self esteem has everything to do with value.
Hmm.
So if your value is descending or debasing, basically, you're causing yourself pain,
Okay.
right? Therefore, your aim is to gravitate to materialistic things, thinking these materialistic things is going to bring you self worth, a form of happiness. But in actuality, these materialistic things hinders you. It
Okay.
causes more pain.
Question. Based on whose value system do we value ourselves to? Like Rich always say, what program are you using to value yourself by? Are you using the environment? Are you trying to match be like the Joneses, the Trumps, the Kennedys, the Malcolms, the kid, So, what are you using to determine your that you can compare your value to, or what makes you equate your value and buy? I mean, what guideline or measure are you using to value yourself by? What are you using to determine your value? Uh, that,
Is that a question for me, or that's a general question?
that's a
Period.
jump for Arden, because a number of years ago I was in Dallas, Texas, on a radio show, and I given an overview about my book, The Other Side of Slavery: The Untold Story, and Dr. Edwards. Dr. Edwards is the clinical psychologist at that time for the San Francisco 49ers. He called into the show and we was talking, we was sort of exchanging. He said, "Brother, what's your name?" And I told him. He said, "Listen, because I was doing a lot of things for free." He said, "If you don't put no value on yourself, nobody else will. When you allow society to tell how much you're worth of your value, you're not living within that is not you. You're going by somebody else's evaluation. So how do you go by to evaluate your worth? If I ask you today, y'all remember, uh, what's your worth, your net worth?
My network, people defer to that as the money that they pretty much obtain, or whatever value of things they gravitate, whether it's their car, their cell phone, pictures, paintings, so on and so forth,
Right. So
right?
yeah, and I had that
My
question asked.
net,
Go ahead. So now answer. So base, how would you tell me what your net worth is worth? If I was to ask you that question, what, not your growth, but what's your net worth?
for me, it's not the currency that defines me. For me, it's my integrity. For me, it's the security I have within myself and how I uphold myself and how I actually pass forth this integrity to my reflection, my kings, my sons, so on and so forth. A currency is not value. It's a dead thing, right? it's a dead energy. True value is what you use on a daily basis. Let's say today, three people called me. Out of the three people, I touched two of them. I've changed the trajectory of which they think.
Mm-hmm.
My value then went up because I've touched and aided someone. Your
Right.
value shines through your connection of people
Now, how many
and
people
things
know
you
this?
do.
Now, how many people know this and use that system to evaluate their worth, their purpose?
Not not too many.
Not too many.
Reason why there's too much noise. Everybody believes that everything outside of them is what makes them. So they fail to go inward. It's like a God trying to justify walking amongst a man without a soul. That man cannot relate to a God because the God has a greater purpose. And I felt like we have lost our purpose and we have stuck to a lot of these things that's outside of ourselves. We chase politics, we chase material wealth, we chase so much things. The happiness comes before all these materials. And if the universe see that you take whatever little bit or crumb or speck, or whatever you have, and make it into something grand, it will reward you. It will
Mm-hmm.
multiply your seed. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore your covenant will be stronger,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Right.
we're stuck on this instant gratification of things that is dead. It has no form of life to it. And when we transfer out of our avatar, we can't take these things with us into the next dimension.
Now, yeah, well, see, one of the things that people do not realize, we do not realize, understand that we are a celestial being in a terrestrial world, and you're trying to live a terrestrial life as a celestial being, and it won't work. What am I saying? You're not in alignment with your purpose. When you're in alignment with your purpose, the thing you just mentioned will automatically produce itself and manifest. Out of three people, you touch two. You know, not only that, but how many more have you touched out of those two because they touched somebody? It's an echo effect. See, and a lot of times we don't realize. If I ask a person today, uh, uh, tell me about yourself, they're gonna first off they're gonna give me a physical breakdown. I'm not talking about your physical. I'm talking about the internal working. Tell me more about your inner of your mind. Tell me about the levels of your mind and what shapes your perception, what shapes your reality. Boom, they stuck. They stuck.
Because they're looking at the title. When you ask somebody who they are, they give you the, oh, I'm Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah.
No, that's a title that was given to you by your parents. Who are you?
Who are you?
Right? So they break down physical attributes. No, the physical attributes are not you. There's a spiritual entity within you that flows. Right? Like I said, and I think in the last live I said to Rich, we are perfect, right?
Yeah.
But society told us otherwise. Like we don't even pay attention to the simple things. You get a cut on your finger, it regenerates. We take stuff like that for granted. We take the air we breathe for granted. And there are many times I forget that I'm breathing.
Right.
Right? And the things that associates with these things, we take them for granted. We don't look at a tree. We don't look how the colors change. We don't look at the rays of the sun, how it energizes us. It's like the noise. We're looking for strangers to tell us who we are. So by them seeing that, they know how powerful we are, right? So they gain our powers through fear. Like, yo, I could control this sucker. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start lying to this sucker. I'm gonna develop opinions and call it facts, and have this sucker actually gravitate to these opinions thinking they're facts. I'm going to have this sucker go outside of himself, not knowing he's a god, and I'm going to put a god in a book and give him that to worship.
And that's where the thing come into play. A lot of folk miss it. Everything that's in a book was put in a book by somebody idea, and you accept that idea or theory or concept and make it yours, or you try to incorporate it into your world. It don't always fit. This is not a one size fit all operation. If it did, we'd have the same eye print, the same voice print, and the same DNA, but we don't. We don't. And that's the problem we're having now. We had a class on this past Sunday, and we was talking about understanding our in Ifa as an Ifa priest. I teach Ifa from a metaphysical science, the science of Ifa from a metaphysical standpoint. And I asked them, how many levels is it of the mind? How many different levels of the mind is it? Because that's what it all starts at. It starts with the mind. The first thing coming to the world when a child is born is his head. It's his head. It's the first thing peep out. Unless he's a what's it called a breech bird and his feet come first. Most times the thing to hit this realm of life is your head. How does your head?
But look, I don't know if I was talking to you and you said something where it's like, listen, everything else you can replace it, but the last thing you can't replace is your head. If your head is severed, you can't grow it back. Nobody can replace it. You're done.
You're done.
And it's the truth. We fail to understand how powerful our mind is.
Right. Well, I asked you, how many levels of the mind is it, and how do you recognize how many stages of the mind is it, and how do you recognize what stage you're in? Because the head that leave the house this morning ain't the same one returning that night.
You want me to answer that off the?
No, I'm making a statement. We're having a little talk. The way you left the head house this morning ain't the way it returned that night. So how many stages did your mind go through that day?
It is based on the things that I've took on. Like for me, one of those minds were in a truck. Two, once the truck stopped, was doing something else. So it changes every time you're opposed with something. Every time you're opposed with an interaction, basically, or a distraction.
And many people don't know that. They think it's 3 levels: conscious, subconscious, superconscious. But that's just the what you call the literary. But there's another function that they don't talk about. And that is and I do this because we teach the EFA class. EFA science. EFA says there's 6 different levels to your so-called Ori, your inner head. You got your dome, but then there's some workings that goes on inside of there. And most people don't realize this, that your perception shapes your reality. You say your self-esteem or your value, your worth depends on how you see yourself. Some people see themselves as nothing. And that's come from psychological training and conditioning. Even through a lot of reading, you're unworthy, you can't stand before God. You are God.
But that's the pain. That's the apologies. But that's the pain I'm talking about.
Yes.
When you fail to see yourself for who you really are. Like let's take a woman, for instance, that believes she's a woman, right? And this is not a knock on the female. Right. That's your rightful place. You're a female. But take a look on the woman. When the woman go outside, she put all these things to lure the men, but she said she's doing it for herself. Right? So when you see her, she's saying, okay, this is what makes me feel good. But no, she create those illusions because of the pain of what you just said. Somebody else may have told her, yo, listen, you're not that attractive as a child. You suck at this and you suck at that, so on and so forth. She haven't even showed her true self to her child, because her child is looking at her like, who are you? Because you're not going to walk outside in makeup and not sweat. So it's not gonna remain unflawed. You're gonna come back to the crib. You're gonna take your wig off, right? You're gonna take whatever paddings you have on. You're gonna take that girdle off, and this, that, and the third. And no knock to you, but what I'm aiming to show you is how powerful you are, right? I see your beauty without that. And the true, genuine bliss of your beauty is the true you. Everything that you use to mask that is an illusion.
Right.
But yet, here I am. Here I am. They're gonna be like, "Oh, you a man? What do you know about? What do you know about a woman and so on and so forth?" First of all,
That's
woman, female
good.
slave.
Yeah.
Um, I see it. I'm the one you get this way for. May not be me personally, but it's my energy,
Mm-hmm.
basically, the masculine energy
Mm-hmm.
you do this for. Because if you did this and nobody was watching, it wouldn't be any purpose for it.
Right.
So unconsciously,
Yeah.
you're cultivating a ritual that you don't even know that you're doing.
Well, those saying, why advertise if you're not selling? You put it on because you're trying to draw attention to yourself to get some kind of what we say validation. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
get that validation, then you feel like you failed in your purpose or in your objective. And that we're talking now about the value. I looked at what's her name. She was on. She said she gonna stop. She stopped wearing makeup. What's her name? She's a beautiful sister. And
Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys says, from this point on, I'm no longer going to hide. I'm going to just let my natural beauty come through. She quit wearing all this extra makeup. Then a lot of other girls started doing the same thing. You know, why don't you go natural? Well, that's not beautiful. That's not pretty. It's not attractive. Who say it's not?
Because they're
You like
stuck
a
with
jackass
the
going around worrying about
Eurocentric.
what you look like when it's trying to get with another jackass.
The Eurocentric form of beauty have them manipulated,
That's
right?
the whole
That's why the Chinese or the Japanese can make billions of dollars off of them, selling them somebody a corpse's products such as dead hair. You got to look at it. If you pay attention to energy, you're wearing dead things. Eventually, you're becoming dead yourself. The makeups gradually over time put holes in your face. It eats away at your natural skin and so on and so forth. It's don't take my word for it. Right? What you put into your body eventually affects it. Hybrid food, you're wearing a hybrid underwear, polyester, which is harming you. It doesn't just harm the female; it harms the male as well.
well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then you're suffocating your organs and so on and so forth. Guess what? If it doesn't come through your ass, it's either gonna come through your mouth or your skin.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Understand how powerful you are, and when you realize this,
That's the problem right there. Because we don't know how to value ourselves and how to put most maximum attention on that which is, and not it's not your personal physical, is your mind. How powerful is your mind? Look,
aka
you so much worried about your outer appearance, but your inner appearance is dying.
I've always tell this as one of my stories, and I really like, and I'm gonna continue to tell it because I know it's true and I've seen it. I've 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 been at work working, and it started raining, and I said this to myself: how are you gonna allow it to rain when I'm out here working? I'm going to get sick. Moving in and out of a freezer into a warm weather, I'm going to get sick. If I'm sick,
I can't work.
my energy is low, and
Right.
so on and so forth. Stop the rain. When I finish work and I get home, you can rain as much as you want. I like falling asleep to the noise of the
Rain,
the
yeah.
rain banging against the window pane and the roof. Anyway, it's very soothing.
Right.
King, and within minutes, the rain stopped. You cannot tell me what I say and believe within myself don't come to fruition. I've done it too many times. I have unconsciously seen things and drawn things to me. And when I'm in the midst of going through that thing, I'm like, oh, deja vu.
Yeah.
I've dreamt it and seen it happen in front of me.
But then again, these are some stages of our mind that we don't understand. how to control, how to deal with it, and we don't perfect those other levels. We operate within five senses, but there are senses beyond the five senses that we never tap into, and that's the danger of it, because those are the ones we need to use to bring these things you're saying into manifestation. You got all of these biblical stories about guys stopping the rain for 6 months, for a year, doing this, stopping the sun, and you can't do it. You can't do it. Oh yeah. You know why? Because you don't know how. You have not been trained. You've been taught to think less of yourself because you don't know the value of yourself. I don't let nobody devalue me. If I do anything and I was told to give it away, that's my choice. But I don't let nobody devalue me. I don't care what anybody say. Well, you ought to charge. You ought to did this. You don't tell me what I ought to do. This is my gift, and I'll put my own price tag on it.
Hey, King, I look at it like this too, man. Like, if you tell me I can't do something, man, I'm gonna prove myself right. Man, I'm gonna prove myself right. And through my actions, you will see the results. Right. We're fighting for things that we have created. We're fighting for a world that we have created. We've been there, done that. Why are you fighting for something that?
There's nothing new. But like you were saying, I didn't mean to cut you off. We're talking about valuing ourselves. But if you don't ever use the gift, how you know how strong do you know? How well do you know you have it if you never use it? I'll put it like that.
The reason they don't know they have it, but they tap into it unconsciously, is because there's too much noise around. We're too fixated on noise. And the noise, I don't mean just sounds, King. I mean distraction. You get a car and you be like, as soon as you get this car, like, oh, I need another one. I need an upgrade. You get a phone. You keep upgrading. You never satisfy. Like Rich says, the earth can feed everyone, but we're never satisfied.
Greed is never satisfied.
And the crazy thing about it is, through these mishaps, greed, gluttony, jealousy, and so on and so forth, right? We never understand the balance of self. Because if you're balanced within self, you don't go around being jealous of no one. Because if you pay attention on a deeper scope of things, you will realize the same energy within you that's having you floating around and doing whatever you're doing, it's the same energy in the next person. No, we're not the same physically, right? Because the habits change, but the same source energy we have is the same source energy in the universe. As much as we talk like we're big shit, right, Baba?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anyone aim to control their kidneys and their liver. It happens by itself. The blood's coursing through your veins. You don't control it. So why you aim to control everything else when you control nothing?
It's worth examining.
I'm just saying.
That's when, because you're using common sense and logic now. You're not allowing your emotions to step in and direct your thinking. And a lot of folks allow their emotions to affect their appetite, and the appetite affects the way they function, which raises your desire, which brings on greed. See, and that's the problem. We can't control our appetite. I don't mean just food. It goes way beyond food. It makes you lust after things because you're not happy with where you are. Now, I don't say you got to be satisfied if you're in the ditch. You want to get out. That's fine and good. But how you get out is another thing.
I keep seeing the beauty, man. Like, and I'm not 100% there. I mean, I've went through my endeavors and so on and so forth. But
all
through my endeavors,
go ahead. It's all part of life lessons. All part of life lessons. I was telling you, These life lessons come to perfect us, not destroy us. Once you understand that, once you understand your value, and when you understand who you are and who and what your purpose is, you can live a better life. But most people, if you ask them, what's your purpose in being here? You here? What is your purpose in being here?
Maybe you can tell. Maybe they're gonna be like, maybe you can tell me. They're looking for other
Well,
people to give them the purpose.
right. Well, see, if I say only you know what value made before you left the room to come to the earth, because the earth, when you agreed to come to the earth from your spirit, from your celestial body, your avatar, we call it, to arrive here on planet Earth to do a work. Only you know what you said your vow was, and your purpose in coming was, because everything has a purpose in coming to the earth. The earth is a school, a learning, and every entity that in every on this planet come here to set up or to learn from this experience. A lot of folks don't know that, and everything walking around is not human. They call it human. Everything ain't. You got subhumans and you got non-humans, but they all look like humans.
A deep king.
That's another story. That's another story. Okay.
No, you brought it up. A deep king also stated that, and I've did some research on it as well. In order for you to call yourself a human, I hope you realize that being human has some form of animal DNA within them.
They don't realize that.
We are beings.
Yeah, we're beings.
You know, and the terminology we're using towards ourselves keep us stagnant and keep us rigid.
There's a book called The Other Bible. Have you ever heard of it?
Repeat?
There's a book called The Other Bible.
No, I've not heard.
Hold on a second.
This king got so much information, man, and it's like talking to him on a daily space pretty much allows you to learn something new, and he gives you the opportunity or points you where to get the information, and based on the different variation and index that's out there.
Let me see if I can get this thing to line up.
I see it. The Other Bible.
Okay. It's by William Burnstone. William Burnstone. This is one of the most toughest books I ever put my hands on. We're talking about now. This baby goes into it in depth. It has all the so-called writings and texts, and it breaks them all down.
So more so it's like an encyclopedia for everything else that's around you.
Right.
Okay.
It goes into all of this stuff. And a lot of folks have never even peeked the book.
Why? Because we don't read?
Thank you. They've been dropping the word all this past week. I got this book back in 1984. They've been dropping this word all this week, and nobody paid no attention to it. And I heard Mitch McConnell, I heard Lindsey Graham and some people over on Fox, the word draconian.
I've heard that terminology a lot.
And we ain't paying no attention. They keep draconian this and draconian this, and going like, what? Are you serious?
They know. We don't.
Yeah. And they start dropping words, and we talk about value. They drop words into our world that we're not used to in our vocabulary, and we start repeating it. You don't even know what it even means. All this I've been hearing the word draconian. Yeah.
You can get the PDF too, like if you don't have the funds to purchase the book. They'll give you
a lot of things. Yeah, PDF. Yeah.
Yeah. They'll give you the PDF.
Back in the 80s, because we had a think tank back in Texas, and we had about 23 people in it. We had a think, we covered everything. But back our subject, this goes into a thing about the alien man that came to the earth that would, and it breaks down some things. Oh man, it has some heavy stuff in it. Yeah.
we we need to start under not even understand because we're not on the bridge. We need to understand
Right.
more. We need to go more inward, and we need to challenge ourselves.
We don't do that. That's how you raise your value. You just see the key
You
word.
know,
That's how you raise your value when you what? Challenge yourself. When you, I told my wife this week, I told my queen, my goddess this week, I said, I'm finna go to the stage of I'm going to remake, I'm going to do a redo on myself. I'm going to recreate myself. She said, what? I said, I'm going to recreate myself. She said, what? I said, I'm going to I'm 74 years old, right? And I'm telling my goddess, I'm this month, I'm working on now recreating myself. She looked at me. I guess you people, I flipped out. I said, well, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and get a major physical done to see where I am with my body chemistry, my chemicals, uh, nutrients, and all these things, right? And I'm going to go back and begin to replenish that what's been depleted and re-energize what's been de-energized.
and but look, ain't nobody else can recreate you, man. Like we got to we gotta look at things too,
Mm-hmm.
and perfect. And there's another thing. Queen mentioned like when she was breaking down the self-esteem, and she made a valid point. She says you never seen a lizard go to a hospital aiming to get a fictitious limb because they know they can regenerate their limbs.
Right.
So she was like, if a lizard can regenerate their limbs, why can't you?
Good question.
And I laughed. And most people be like, oh, would probably say, oh, you're crazy. But I know what she's talking about. Eliminating the distractions, eliminating certain things, and we can tap into our true power.
Well, look at you as a child. How many times do you replace your teeth?
Shoot, it can barely count. Like my kings are going through that right now.
Well, you know,
You
teeth.
know, shapes and form.
Yeah.
People, people don't understand. They can actually sit here and take their hand and tell their fingers to grow. And if they believe and stand there long enough or sit there long enough, they will start to see their fingers getting longer. But no, shit like that will blow them out of their own minds. See, I believe a lot of us love the illusion of somebody else telling us what we should be, when we should be it, and how we should be that. You get what I'm saying? We don't want to put the work.
That's the key word. Don't put the work in. Because if you let somebody else do it, if it don't come, you can blame them for the failure. But
And that's what we do.
Yeah. Well, you was also with, it's like I was skiing, right? We get a cut and our body heal. I was laughing the other day. Back in the day, Yeremia, as a child, we would get cut. We didn't go to the doctor. My mom would get some coal oil or some kerosene, pour on the cut, wrap it up, and go play, boy. I go. I cut my hand wide open, right in there, right, laid it open. Spoken got stitches. She poured coal oil in there, wrapped it up, and say, and go play. It healed.
It's not even just funny that like in Jamaica we had these capsules. You know, these two. I forgot what specific kind of medicine was in this capsule. Some of them are like red and blue. My guardian at the time, like if I get a cut, she would separate the capsule and throw it in the womb and wrap it up. And within a couple of hours, due to the blood cells start coagulating and so on and so forth,
right,
it will help to form a scab quicker. Within a week, I'm healed.
Right.
You know, that's regeneration.
Regeneration.
But we don't pay attention to ourselves enough to know these things.
Well, because our body's been so adulterated and fed these false false
narratives.
narratives and false imitation foods and things, it cannot really communicate with the thing we put in our body. Now it has no relationship, and that's sad. I was talking to my other day about the foods we eat. If you eat a certain food out of its season, it's in a defensive mode. It does you no good. I don't care if they did raise it in a hot house. It does you no good. Everything must be in it. It seems I said we're out of step with nature and the cosmos because we do a lot of things out of season. And by being out of season, it is in a defense mode and it fights the body rather than helping the body. So the body's going to come to war trying to balance with something that don't want to be balanced.
But look at this though, King.
We talk about dragging ourselves.
Simpler terminology. We use a utensil, a fork, a knife, and so on and so forth. You're not supposed to use a utensil. You're supposed to use your fingers. Therefore, your body can communicate with your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So you already know what form of energy the food has within it before it actually enters your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But these utensils cut off that sensation. The same way a shoe cuts off the sensation with your vibration to the earth. You have to connect.
Well, we live in an asphalt jungle. There ain't much way. We live in an asphalt jungle now, so you know.
So you have a asphalt jungle, but you have nature outside. When you get an opportunity, try aim to connect with nature, whether it's hugging a tree or walking within the blade of grass, because the same iron, zinc, carbon, copper, and so on and so forth is within the earth, especially if it's natural.
Well, I wish when you ever get a chance, like when you come to visit, about 30 yards from my house is about a 500-acre cotton field. I mean, a field out there. But they got cotton out there now. They planted cotton. They got corn. They do soybeans. I'm about 30 yards from my house. I can walk out in this field right behind me on about 500 acres and just walk over and Great Mother Earth, you know.
I think I might pass you. I might have passed you yesterday, man.
You think so?
Yeah, it was in the area.
Where about in the area?
We started out in Mobile. Then we work our way down from Mobile all the way to we got into Mississippi, and there was a point we was like 10 miles away from Louisiana.
Yeah.
10
miles away from Louisiana. I mean,
yeah,
you had been in Vicksburg.
Yeah, we were close. We were that close.
Yeah.
We were that close.
Once you cross the river, you've been in Louisiana.
No, we were that long ass bridge.
Oh, you down on the low end. You down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'm up on 20 north. You cross the Mississippi coming over where I am. But anyway, I was sad to say this. We in the country. I mean, I have no problem getting out, kick my shoes off and walk. I got a lot of dirt and soil around my house, but right next to the house is about 500-acre field, just a big field, man. You know.
Yeah, man, go play in the dirt, man. People don't even know that mud has a lot of medicinal healing properties within it too.
Just playing the mud back in the day, man. Play back in the mud pies, all this kind of stuff, you know. But these are things we did as a child, right? Now
we forget as an adult.
Yeah, now we're so sanitized, we can't afford to get out there and do that, you know. Yeah, no.
But peep this. It doesn't matter how clean we think we are, how sanitized we are, we still dirt.
That day.
You don't believe me? Get a white rag. And wash yourself and come have a conversation.
All that you done build up. Well, that's all that electromagnetic energy that you got going. You drawing things.
Exactly.
And you're dealing with that. But yeah, man. But it's a lot that we've got to go back and recreate ourselves and recreate our thinking, how we function, and our vocabulary. Like you're saying, we're so hooked on a lot of these words are distractions. Well, I brought the word draconian. I'm looking at Lindsey Graham them and the ones that in the Republican Party talking that They keep dropping with draconian. Bobby Hamilton, we be talking about the draconians and Dracos and all this stuff. I'm going like, so what is about draconian? You know? And so I was telling Shay about it. She looked it up about the portals, right? The portals that's around the earth. A lot of folks don't know that there's a lot of portals, not just one, but portals around the earth that we gather information from. Because we're not into it.
They said there's a lot in the Antarctic, and the North Pole, like even them changing where they say is the north is actually the south. And it's actually the center. And it's actually the center of these dimensions. It's an easy way for you to travel through these dimensions. You just gotta find these portals. There's portals in Africa and so on and so on. So it was funny. It was funny when you send me that. I was like, oh wow, I'm aware of this. You know, and like
I just send it to you, right? Yeah.
And you reassured me. I'm like, whoa shit, I'm aware. I'm like, okay, all right. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like even I forgot that what's that thing? It happens like once every, I think it happens in the Antarctic or the North Pole when the sky, those waves, those colorful waves that flow within the sky. What's that? You remember the name of that?
I forgot the name of it, but I know a lady about the Bermuda Triangle down south. I see. Look where it sets. You know, look where it sets.
Yeah, and a lot of these things, man. But we don't believe certain things, or we don't flow with certain things. We think it's a myth, and we think it's BS, and so on and so forth. But that's also us lying and deceiving ourselves.
Right.
So I'm gonna end the show saying this: always elevate to prosper.
Right.
Because elevation brings prosperity. Always aim to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Never question what you know. Not everything has a definition. Some things just flow. Mm-hmm. Shit, that sounds like a bar, but that wasn't my intent. But hopefully you get the gist of things. You're more powerful than you believe you are.
Yeah. Quit believing and start knowing.
Stop allowing strangers to dictate who you are. Go within yourself. Take time out and sit in a quiet place.
Learn to meditate and focus. Work on your breathing.
Period. And stop blaming others for your endeavors. You're the one creating your own reality. Hold yourself accountable. Stop pointing fingers, because you're missing the fact that there's three pointing back at you every time you point one.
And realize that you are a trichotomous being in a terrestrial world. Know who you are and know your purpose in being here. Then you know your value.
And stop looking at the wolf like he's the baddest thing walking. No, the wolf is not that bad. And you're way more powerful than that wolf. Yeah. Pay attention. That's why if they don't have so-called carbonated people, in Jamaica we have a term, it won't be nice.
It won't be.
If you don't have so-called blacks, it won't be nice. No. Stop fighting for what you've already created. You're past that stage.
Right.
The aim is to elevate beyond what you've already created.
Recreate yourself if you have any doubts. Go into it, do a self-examination.
I challenge you guys to start writing your thoughts down or rechanting.
Yeah.
Take one thing and rechant it every single day and watch what happens and watch how it comes into creation, into the physical from the spiritual. Yeah. So a lot of us are, go ahead, Baba. You said so above?
So above, so below.
Yes. And a lot of us are spiritually circumcised.
Shay.
Period.
That is so true.
Elevation and prosperity to all you guys. Growth, bliss.
Yeah. Iwa Pele.